Kasi mong A.
Ikaw daw, kasabalo?
Oh my God, Daniel Padilla, Patrick Fernando.
Daghan kaayong salamat for the full support of the WSOP North Mid Chapter!
It's like a dream come true to me. I never imagined my life standing here in front of you with all the wet fires. I am so happy and overwhelmed with all your support.
2022 is a great year to start for our union of all wedding suppliers in Northern Mindanao.
This is an industry na gusto natin. I believe iba-iba ang mga profession nyo. Pero mas pinili natin na ito ang trabaho natin at ito ang maging negosyo natin. Kasi mahal natin itong industriya na ito.
Thank you so much. And I want to encourage each and every one of you to please do your best. Work hard lang kita because we plan that we will have another like this next year. So we are going to observe all of you, makeup artists, coordinators, event stylists. Who knows, you will be the next awardees of Wedding Supply Association of the Philippines. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to tonight's episode of our talk program entitled Let's Talk About Weddings. Please allow me to begin by introducing myself. My name is Millicent Angeles, and I'll be your host for tonight's LTAO episode. And of course, I'd like to greet everyone who visits our Facebook page and or watches our YouTube channel. I hope you're all having a good time. Okay, just to see how our viewers are doing, leave a comment or a heart and a wow response in the box below. Alright, before we welcome our guest speaker, we'd like to express our gratitude to the following sponsors for their support for today's event. Med Results, Accounting Portal Philippines, Alabang Estate Realty Directory, Mobile Palenque, Philippine Travel Expo, Philippine Virtual Expo, Philippine Workshops, Online Pasalubong Center, and Philippine Hotels Directory. If you have any questions during the broadcast, please leave them in the comment section. There will be time set aside at the end of the event for the question and answer. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's guest speaker, a television and events host, travel media professional, and a lifestyle media producer who works at the ABS-CBN Lifestyle and a triathlete. Let us offer Mr. Kevin Mara Lapena, our speaker tonight, a virtual warm round of applause.
Hey, there you go. Hi,
Hi,
Millicent. Can you
sir.
hear
It's a
me?
pleasure to meet you po.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yes, good evening po.
Good evening.
So, I have a few questions for you, Sir Kevin. Are you willing to answer them all po?
You can ask me anything. Go ahead.
Okay. So, for the first question, just to loosen up a bit po. So, how are you tonight, Sir Kevin? How are you feeling po?
I'm doing great. Really happy, especially that lately things are starting to pick up again. Coming off of a big break during the new year, alam niyo naman, my outbreak during that time. So a lot of my events got postponed, got moved. But then now we're in the thick of February. Dumadami na ulit yung trabaho. And it's really nice to see everybody out and about and out parang more freely celebrating again. Which is why, to answer your question, this Friday, Millicent, I am feeling good.
That's good to hear naman po, sir. Since we want to get to know you more, Sir Kevin, of course, lahat na nanonood gusto ka makilala. So, can you tell us something about your life?
About my life. Okay. So, starting immediately from why I'm here, I've been a host for over 17 years already. A little trivia, I started hosting because I entered show business about over ten years ago. Alam niyo naman, sa mga, when you become a quote unquote artista, they make you do a lot of things such as hosting events, guest hosting different programs. So that's when I started to realize, hey, hosting really is something that I enjoy doing. So from there, I started hosting um, uh, a travel show. That was my very first stint doing traveling. Also on ABS-CBN, it was for a show called Trip na Trip. I was with Pinoy Big Brother housemates. I was the only one who wasn't part of the PBB roster at that time. And then after that, I joined Mix, part of the VJ search before. And then after that, that's when I started hosting live events already. And fast forward to up until about probably 7 years ago, that's when I entered the wedding industry. And more than anything, it's weddings that actually take up most of the pie when it comes to the volume of hosting work that I do.
Okay, so When did you start hosting po and when did you realize that you wanted to pursue this career? Is it your passion po ba talaga, the hosting and all po?
I started hosting when I would like to say when I was about to graduate high school. This was in 2007. They made me host one of the events in school. Um, and then this was sort of like playing for me because in high school everything's sort of a play, right? And then when I transitioned into college, my blockmates asked me to host their debuts, and then the mga school organizations, they asked me to host their events as well. And that's about the time that I also entered show business. So I think technically, professionally speaking, yun na. 2007, 2008 would be the first my entry into actually being a professional when it comes to hosting. And yeah, through the years, I realized that more than hosting, it's in the form of communication where my passion lies. Because aside from being a host, I am also a travel media producer and at the same time a lifestyle producer also. And what that means is I produce and host different travel materials such as travel shows. I write travel features for different publications. I produce travel promotional materials for different clients such as tourism boards, hotels, resorts, things of that sort. And if you are to look at the trend here, hosting, producing communication materials, it really writing, it really falls under communication. So just as long as I suppose I am able to express myself or to communicate myself and my passion, which is hosting and traveling, and now weddings and socials, then ayun na nga, yun yung passion ko ngayon.
Wow, nakaka-inspire naman po. And parang sa dami po ng ginagawa niyo na babalance niyo po lahat at the same time na enjoy niyo po lahat.
Na-inspire ka ba, Millicent?
Yes po, sobra po.
I'm really happy to hear that.
So next naman po, what is it like po to be a lifestyle media producer? Or what is it like to be a media professional in general po?
Doing lifestyle is very convenient, especially if you want to tackle a lot of things. Before, my focus was mainly traveling and tourism. And when you say traveling and tourism, there's only so much that you can cover. So, transportation, luxury travel, budget travel, things of that sort, right? But then when you say lifestyle, this is where you can incorporate so many things already. Since I've always been living an active lifestyle, as you mentioned earlier, I'm a triathlete. Now, I should correct you. I used to be. Hindi na ako nagta-triathlon ngayon. But because I was so fond of fitness and other things, lifestyle, producing lifestyle material just came as a perfect fit for me. So it allowed me to cover wellness, fitness, even show business for a while. I interviewed a lot of celebrities and personalities also when I used to write for ABS-CBN. And it opened so many doors because one thing that's very important in any kind of business that you're in, especially in something as social as the industry that we're in, is your network. When you don't, when you are not networking, you're not working. That's what we'd like to say, because these are we can only do so much by ourselves. It's the people that we get to meet and we work with and we learn with that we get to actually mm, improve our craft and to get to branch out in terms of how big of a business we want ourselves to become.
Okay po. That is true because 'pag nagne-network po kayo siyempre lumalaki yung circle niyo, marami pong mas nakakakilala sa inyo 'pag gano'n. Tama po ba?
Exactly, Millicent. But before you ask me another question, let me ask you something, just so I can get to know you
Oh my
also.
God. Okay po.
Aside from because it says here that you are a host, is there anything else that you do or you're interested in also?
Actually, sir, I'm I like singing. I also do vlogging, but not that, not ano po, parang hindi po ako gano'n na nagpo-post. Parang hanggang sa phone ko lang po siya and hanggang sa pag edit lang po. Pero hindi ko po siya gano'n na na-upload kasi wala pa po ako sa stage na gusto na kaya ko siyang ituloy-tuloy.
Pero may mga na-upload ka na.
Opo, mga short covers ko po ng kumakanta ko and mga one vlog po na mahaba is yung nag-travel po ako this pandemic. Pumunta po akong
YouTube.
Laguna.
Oh,
Yes po,
wow.
YouTube.
Laguna, from where?
NSJ Farm, it's ano po, hiking.
Yeah, where did you come from? You said you traveled far in Laguna.
Antipolo po.
Taga
This
Antipolo ka.
Antipolo. Opo.
Paki-promote
Yun lang.
naman yung channel or your social media handle para mapanood din namin yung mga pinopost mo.
Okay lang po, medyo shy pa po ako sa part na yun.
Okay,
And
okay.
opo. And kumakanta po, nagko-choir and nagti-theater po. Yun lang po.
Wow, wow. Jane of all trades. I'm happy to hear that, Millicent. And you also host weddings.
Hindi pa po. Actually, sa ganito pa lang po ako nag-host and sa school events din po.
Are you still in school?
Actually, yes po. College.
Oh, okay,
At
okay. I'm
as of the
happy to hear
moment.
that. Sige lang, sige lang. You have your life ahead of you.
Thank you,
Sige,
sir.
sige. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You can ask me your questions
It's
that you
okay
prepared.
po. So, for the next question, how do you create content po? And since you are a lifestyle media producer, how do you effectively and efficiently influence your audiences regarding the trends you produce?
Okay, to answer your first question, how I create content, let's rewind a bit to the time before the pandemic. When I say I create content during that time, it was under the pretense that I do it either in mainstream media, oh sorry, traditional media, I should say, and digital media. So when I produce material before, it would be TV shows. Um, it would also come in the form of published writing, so through travel magazines or lifestyle magazines, or sometimes even the newspaper. I also write for digital platforms, so that's online. I used to produce videos also for online publications. So those were the kinds of mediums that I used to create material for before the pandemic. Fast forward to when we were in lockdown mode already. That's when I started to try to do things differently, because for a time tumigil nga yung mga events natin and work came to a halt for a certain period of time. So the first thing that I wanted to bring out, because it also presented urgency, was that the travel and tourism industry as well as the hospitality industry, sila yung pinaka nangangailangan talaga during that time, especially events also, I should say. So I started producing self-made videos, which I posted on my pages. You could call it vlogging also, where I set up a mini studio at my place, and I shot what I'd call pocket travel videos. The series is called Kevin's Pocket Travel Series, where I would just sit in front of a camera and then explain different places in the Philippines, why you should go there, the things that you can do when you go there, how much more or less it would cost when you travel to that place. And then it would be interspliced with different footages that would highlight that destination that I'm featuring. And I just wanted to do this independently, just for me to remind people, okay, pag pwede na ulit mag-travel, pag bumukas na ulit yung mundo, I hope you don't forget that you can travel also, because more than the experience of traveling, you also get to help all the industries and the people that depend on tourism as a livelihood. So that was my advocacy when I started. And at the same time, when events started to come back again, I started vlogging my events also. But just to add, I suppose, online content, online presence, things of that sort. Pero Millicent, can you ask me the second question again? It might have slipped my mind.
It's okay po. Since you are a lifestyle media producer po, How do you effectively and efficiently influence your audiences regarding the trends you produce?
Oh, I partially touched on that earlier also.
Yes.
Well, number one, you have to make sure that whatever you talk about, in my case, it's traveling, tourism, events, weddings, you have to make sure that there is some substance behind what you're saying also. And if the subject that you're dealing with heavily relies on factual data, then you have to be very particular about that also. You cannot just communicate online and send it to cyberspace, whatever you're saying, tapos puro mali pala yung mga sinasabi mo, right? So first things first, you have to make sure that there is some weight, some substance, and some factual backing behind what you say. Second, you have to communicate it properly. You have to think of ways to be able to communicate what message you'd want to bring forth uh, by making it entertaining or engaging enough, I should say, for a particular audience to watch. Because if you just talk tapos monotone ka lang tapos hindi masyado maganda yung production value mo, you can't expect people to watch the videos that you're uploading eh. Kahit napakaganda pa yung mensahe mo, sayang din, because if people don't get engaged or entertained or get enticed enough to watch the material that you produce, sayang lang din eh. So you have to be creative about that also. Especially, Millicent, you're a vlogger now. That's something that you should always keep in mind. But I should say, maraming mga vloggers ngayon that just do mindless, senseless things,
I agree po.
right? Just you do you do what you feel is best for to your spirit and what is best for the audience that you're trying to reach. Dadating din yung mga manunood ng videos mo.
Ano lang din po na sana yung mga vloggers hindi po mawala yung respect nila sa sarili nila. Tama po, 'di ba?
Absolutely, absolutely. But then you have to meet it with some understanding also. There, when you see these people who do outlandish and mindless things, perhaps it's out of necessity, desperation, because they're
Yes.
relying heavily on that medium to earn money.
Money.
So, masama lang yung nagagawa nila minsan, but it perhaps it's a means to an end. They just have to improve on it para lang wala silang matapakang mga paa.
Tama po. So, this is very interesting question po. So, what's the most difficult content you have ever produced as a lifestyle media producer?
Um, are you looking for some controversy here, or are you just asking me where I got challenged the most?
Challenge the most?
Challenged the most. Okay, kala ko controversy yung hinahabol niyo dito.
Hindi naman po.
I suppose when I was writing for ABS-CBN Lifestyle, I wanted to focus on travel and lifestyle, being that yan yung mga interests ko talaga. But out of obligation, I was made to cover showbiz related stories. So I would interview celebrities, I would cover yung mga star magic ball, things of that sort. These don't interest me as much. Showbiz doesn't really how do I say this? Let's just say hindi ako interesado masyado sa mga ganyan. So if you make me cover and write about those things, it's very challenging for me, because if you yourself aren't interested in something that you're writing or that you're singing or you're performing, makikita ng mga tao yun eh.
Yes.
So there was a certain level of concern on my end na baka, okay, maybe if I'm doing this half-baked, sayang din naman kasi baka mahalata ng mga tao, this writer is writing about something that he obviously doesn't know anything about or isn't interested in. So maybe to answer your question, yun na yun, when I used to cover showbiz related stuff.
I'm very curious lang po. Nung college po kayo, related po ba yung course nyo sa kung nasaan po kayo ngayon? Kung anong ginagawa nyo?
For 2 years, I took up applied corporate management, which is a business course, because to begin with, I really had the intention of going into college taking up a business course, entering a multinational corporation, and climbing the ladder from there. But I had to leave my course because I got sick for a while. I had to leave school for a little less than 1 year. Kaya pagbalik ko ng college, parang masyadong mahaba na yung pagka-delay ng course ko. So instead of continuing with my business course, I was thinking maybe I try to look for a shorter one, but one that would complement the subjects that I had already finished, and I found my love in psychology. So I took up psychology and I finished with a major in psychology. And I personally can say that that was the best decision I probably made way back when I was in college, because getting a grasp of understanding yourself also will give you a broader understanding of people around you.
People. Yes.
Yeah. And how that applies to the work that we're in now, or that I'm in,
Lifestyle.
um, lifestyle, socials, right?
Yes.
Travel and tourism, it all deals with so many people, and you have to have a level of understanding in dealing
Standing.
with them. Mm-mm.
Yes. So how do you maximize your platform given the fact that we're all in this crazy time of pandemic po?
Just helping each other out. What really, I suppose, inspired me or uplifted me during these uncertain times was seeing everybody in the industry. And when I say industry, the wedding and events industry, the travel and tourism industry, all these industries that I'm a part of, everybody, all the stakeholders were just helping each other. Nawala na yung pagiging, oh, competitor ko to, or parang maybe this person is trying to get business from me. Hindi. When one goes up, everybody goes up. As they say nga, when the tide rises, it lifts all boats
Uh,
up.
yes.
So that's what held true since the very beginning of the pandemic. That's what's still holding true up until now. And to make the most out of the platforms that I have in terms of being a wedding and events host, a travel media producer, um, collaboration, cooperation. Um, that's pretty much it. Everybody wins in this situation.
Did you enjoy hosting weddings?
Did I enjoy? I still do enjoy wedding hosting. Um, I just came from a long program last night. Um,
Oh,
and even though I've been doing it for, as I mentioned earlier, 7 years already, you never get tired of seeing the couple, their friends, their
yes.
families, their guests enjoying, because this may be like just one day for us at work, right? Parang it's just a regular day in the office for us, but for them, it's a milestone in their life. So you should never forget that, because when you are a part of that particular milestone in their lives, you have to make sure that you make it seem like it's the best moment or the best night of their lives, an unforgettable moment for all of them. And if you have those repetitive, unforgettable moments, it keeps you young, it keeps you going, which is why I can't get enough of getting wedding bookings. I'm always excited when I meet them, when I talk to them, when I get to the reception venue. It's always like I'm starting from scratch again.
What is the most interesting wedding host you hosted po?
There are so many. That's a very difficult question to answer, Millicent, because each one is unique in
Unique,
its own
yes.
way. I've hosted mga engrande na weddings.
Wow.
I've hosted very intimate weddings, especially now during the pandemic. A lot of the couples had to downsize, not just because of budget, but also because of the yung mga safety guidelines, because of the pandemic. So each one has its own unique story. Each one presents itself as the most interesting wedding in its own right. So yeah, I don't think I'd have just one answer for you, Millicent. Not unless you ask me something in particular. Baka pwede kong masagot yon.
Ito na lang po. Medyo baka mahiya kayong sagutin pero ipupush ko po. May
Bakit
once na
naman
po
mahiya ako,
ba
Millicent?
na nag-host kayo ng wedding na umiyak kayo? Kayo parang naluha lang po, gano'n?
Yeah, maybe I would say 3 times.
3
Yeah,
times.
3 times. Kasi there were 3 instances where I hosted for 3 very close friends of mine, and these people
Oh,
are like family to me. And kahit hindi naman talaga ako emotional na tao, you can't help it eh. When you see
yes.
someone that you hold dear to you and you can see them enjoying, ma i i magiging emotional ka din talaga.
Tama po. So, for the
Hindi ako
next
nahiya
question
dun,
naman
Millicent,
po.
akala mo.
Kasi siyempre 'pag lalaki po dapat strong, hindi papakitang maiyak. So, medyo nahiya po akong itanong sa inyo kasi baka, hala, baka ayaw ni sir malaman na umiyak siya sa wedding.
Outdated na yan, Millicent. Bago na yung
Outdated na
panahon
po.
ngayon. It's more accepted already for the masculine to express emotion.
Right. Tama po. So, for the next question naman po. Having all these careers, may I ask how did you manage them all? Is it hard? Does it require proper and precise planning po?
Yeah, it definitely does. But it takes experience to be able to manage them properly. When you're young, like you are right now, you will really have to go through that process of learning on your own, on how to more efficiently work, on how to identify the things that are most important, or the things that require most of your attention, because throughout the years I've been doing so many things. I can go on for siguro this whole stream, just talking about everything that I've been doing for the past maybe 9 or so years. But to be honest with you, I've gone through a few burnouts already and a few existential realizations. But you definitely have to figure out what you really want to do, because if you keep on forcing yourself to take on so many projects at the same time, not only will you get burnt out, but all the work that you're gonna be doing, yung quality niya baka ma-compromise.
So, ano po, is there an instance sa career niyo po na may naging hindrance na hindi po nag-support sa inyo, ganun po?
Um, there was one time, I should say, because one of the one of the things that I also do is that I'm a voiceover artist, which means
Wow,
you might have heard me on radio commercials already, or mga VO sa mga commercials na napapanood mo.
commercial. Feel ko po commercial.
Yeah, I started doing that a long time ago, probably around 2012, if I'm not mistaken. 10 years ago. And it coincided from the time that I graduated from college and I entered the corporate world. So I was in a corporate job before. And I really wanted to be able to do everything that I would do, while at the same time still being in my job, right? But hindi talaga. I think the hindrance came in the form of my day job at that time, because it was so demanding in terms of schedule, attention, and there was a part of me na hindi na fulfilled. There was a part of my soul that felt uncolored. So the time that I came to the realization na maybe it's time that I explore more opportunities. The moment that I let go of that job, ang dami na kaagad. I felt more fulfilled because I got to do my VO work. I felt more fulfilled because I got to do my travel work, my hosting work, and the rest is history.
Wow. Parang in your position po, parang ang saya mabuhay. Parang yun yung definition ng para po sa akin na 'pag nag-aano po ng lifestyle, parang ang saya mabuhay kasi ang dami niyo pong na-e-experience, ang dami niyo pong nakikilalang ibang tao, lalo na po yung pagta-travel kasi lahat ng tao siyempre wala namang means para mag-travel. walang money. So, parang lahat ng tao 'pag tinanong mo, gusto ko pagtanda ko nagta-travel lang ako." So, parang kayo po looking sa life niyo parang ang saya tignan po. Pero at the same time,
Wow.
I know naman po na mahirap din para sa inyo yung ginagawa niyo.
Masaya naman talaga, I'm not gonna lie. It really is fun, and it's something that I really strived for since the very
Yes.
beginning. And during some of the talks that I would give, especially to college students or to young professionals, uh, what I always tell them is that you really have to stick your nose in the process. Eh. Kahit mahirapan ka, kahit ma-depress ka, kahit masunog ka dahil sa trabaho mo, it's all part of the process
Yes,
for you
yes.
to realize what you want to do in life, and at the same time, uh, be familiar with what you don't want to do with your life. So if you're meant to be a corporate worker, fine. Baka kasi yung strengths mo and your talents um, will position you in that field of work. But in my case, that's when I also realized, maybe I'm not the most effective in a corporate setting. Kaya I explored. What if I delve into traveling as a profession? What if I delve into communications as a profession? And buti na lang, nag-match talaga sa akin. But it's not to say I didn't go through some rough times also, Millicent. May trial and error talaga yan.
Sa hosting naman po tayo. Why do you think that most people try to avoid speaking in public?
You know the saying, Millicent, that the only thing that people fear more than death is speaking in front of a crowd.
Yes.
For sure, hindi yan nag-apply sa'yo, no?
May times naman po, pero ine-enjoy ko po kasi and I love talking. So,
Mukha
yun
naman.
po.
Mukha naman. Thank you for engaging with me here tonight. To answer your question, like with anything else, it just might not be their strength. It just might not be their interest, because they might be afraid of talking in front of people. Pero napakagaling nila with computations.
Yes.
Napakagaling nila with manual skills, with being creative in other forms of art, right? So nagkakataon lang siguro that we feel a lot of people aren't comfortable speaking in front of people. But if you rephrase the question and say it in a way na, why do you think a lot of people don't like to draw in public? And that will reveal na marami din pala tao na hindi magaling mag-drawing, di ba? I think it just lies in skill, preference, and interest.
So, sa triathlete naman po tayo. Bali po, an multi-sport race po. What is the most memorable competition you've ever had, and what was your experience?
I have two very memorable races that I've joined. The first was when I raced in Beijing. That was the
Wow.
first time that I had traveled abroad just for the intention of racing. Mahirap siya kasi parang naging adventure on my end. It was difficult traveling with a bike. Imagine a suitcase almost as big as yourself. Tapos pagdating sa China na I'm
Bike.
not familiar, not a lot of people speak English there. Most of
Yes.
their signs aren't even in English also. I had to commute to the Airbnb that I booked, which was so far away from the airport. Kaya memorable siya because I was in a place that was definitely outside my comfort zone. It was for a beautiful race, very scenic, and it definitely built character during that time. The second most memorable race was when I did Ironman in Subic in
Wow.
2017. And it's memorable because 7 months prior to that, I got into a really bad accident where I broke this arm, I dislocated this shoulder, this whole jaw was broken, and I was out. I was really out that time. Um, And a lot of people thought, okay, baka hindi na siya magiging athlete after this. But in 2 months' time, I was already training. In 6 months' time, I already joined another triathlon, relay though. pero nag-gold medal kami ng team ko during that
Wow.
race. And then the month after, I did Ironman, and my whole family was there, and my friends were there, and very emotional lang siya, being greeted at the finish line and seeing how happy they are na from injury, this is now what you're doing. So it's an accomplishment. It's definitely a personal accomplishment.
Hindi ko po pansin sa inyo na ano po yung jaw niyo, super pogi pa rin po kayo.
Sabihin ko sa doktor ko yan. Buti na lang. They did a fantastic job.
Yes po. Um, how did you maintain your physique po?
Ngayon, Melissa, mahirap, pandemya. Na ano. but kidding aside, it's ever since I was young. Yung dad ko kasi, fitness enthusiast siya. In fact, he's a professional fitness instructor.
Wow.
So I was brought up to really get into fitness and health. So bata pa lang ako, nag-exercise na ako. I got into sports. I was part of the Dragon Boat team in LaSalle. Nag-mixed martial arts din ako at a certain time. So parang hindi mapakali, parang ganun. So it comes naturally that I really have to keep moving. And even during the lockdown, there was a time that I was stuck in a condo unit. It was such a small space, and we couldn't go out kasi may mga cases sa floor namin. And puro mga home workouts lang. And that was more than enough. In fact, I was surprised. Parang mas naging fit nga ako at that time compared to pre-pandemic. But yeah, just keep moving. Ngayon, I have to tell myself that kasi medyo bumitaw ng konti. But yeah, just keep moving. That's the secret there.
Huwag tatamad-tamad.
Tama yan. Tama yan.
So, as you can see, Sir Kevin, as a result of the pandemic, several businesses are struggling, including the industry you are since. Dahil po, mass gathering siya. So, my question is, how do you see this pandemic as an opportunity to grow your career and businesses? What are the adjustments you did po, and how is your business job still growing despite our current situation right now?
One of the things, or one of the silver linings that the pandemic brought about was it forced people to be creative. You notice a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a lot of professionals had to pivot, and they came out, or they were able to churn out many other businesses. They started to discover na may talents pala sila, and they can monetize it and capitalize it in a professional sense. On my end, it was in a form of developing my online presence. I wasn't as active online as I used to be before the pandemic because I di ko alam, siguro stubborn lang ako that I didn't want to do that I didn't want to do that. I'm a pretty private person and I like to keep to myself. But now, because of the pandemic, since nawala ng events for a while, I saw the urgency in still making my presence felt para di mawala ng mga kliyente kahit papaano. So I started creating my own material. I started building my Facebook page, my social media pages. And from there, mas dumami pa. Brands started collaborating with me. Instead of hosting face-to-face events, I branched out into doing virtual events, be it like a stream that we're doing right now, or going to a studio and shooting behind a green screen or on a set. That's what really, I suppose, came out of my efforts in pushing for being more digitally present. And at the same time, it also allowed me to revisit my time when I used to produce material. At least now there are already several series and projects that are in the pipeline, and hopefully not only will it be sort of like a boost to the growth for my personal or my public pages, but also sana ma-pick up din siya ng mga ibang platforms or perhaps some other investors also, because we have more good material that we will be churning out in the near future.
So, thank you po. And hindi po ba naging mahirap sa inyo ang pandemic since parang napansin ko po sa inyo na lagi kayong nagta-travel. So, ngayon na nasa isang small space lang kayo, small box, parang hindi po ba kayo nahirapan na, I miss traveling, parang napapa-overthink po kayo sa buhay, gano'n po?
Yeah, for a while, definitely. Kasi nung bagong pasok yung pandemya, of course, it was such a novel thing for everybody. So for maybe like 1 to 2 months, maybe even 3 months, we were just locked down in our houses because we didn't know how to go about with it with a virus, right? But then once we started becoming more familiar, even in the early part of the pandemic, bumabalik na ulit yung travel work ko eh. So I was already traveling even at the early part of the pandemic, and this was to help boost tourism for different stakeholders, be it for tourism boards locally, local government tourism sectors, also locally, hotels, resorts, airlines. They all needed also to pivot and to boost their digital presence para hindi sila makalimutan ng mga travel stakeholders, right? So fortunately enough for me, hindi ako masyadong na cabin fever because tuloy-tuloy pa rin naman yung traveling during the pandemic.
Buti naging safe po kayo, never po kayo nag-positive or nagkasakit?
Thankfully, fortunately. Medyo shocking nga eh na
Very lucky.
I'm always in front of a crowd. I'm traveling.
Opo,
Swerte talaga.
swerte talaga.
My guardian angels are working overtime.
Ang galing. So, sa dami po na naging achievement niyo po sa buhay, do you consider yourself successful na po ba? Or do you want more?
Um, I have aspirations. I would put it at that. But if I were to conclude everything, let's say tapos na yung buhay ko ngayon, I'd be happy. I'd be happy. I'd be fulfilled that I was able to live the life that I'd wanted. That I was able to explore the world. Excuse me, the way that I wanted to. Of course, malaki yung mundo. You want to see a lot more of it. But if I get to, I'd be happy. But if this is it for me, happy na ako, accomplished na ako.
Akala ko po in that moment, nung umubo kayo, parang naluluha na po ulit kayo.
Ikaw naghahanap ka ng drama tonight, ah.
Hindi naman po. Nakita ko po kasi kayo na parang, OMG, nakakatakot. Kasi parang, serious, nag-host din po, ganon.
Grabe
Pero,
naman.
tapos
Judging.
po,
Judging.
and then, nakita ko po na, yung nanood din po ako ng ng mga video, yung sa Lenovo, sa travel. So parang ako po, hindi ko po kayo nakita as a person na happy, parang more on serious type po yung aura niyo sa akin. And then ngayon na nakakausap ko po kayo habang tumatagal, parang masaya po kayong kausap. Ayun po.
Dito naman. Grabe, hinusgahan mo ako kaagad, Melissa.
Hindi naman po.
Pero I
Basta
suppose
tama,
that,
pogi. Pogi. Okay na po yun,
ah,
pogi.
okay. Thank you. Thank you. Pero ganoon naman talaga, 'di ba? Before you get to meet people, sometimes they come off as siguro hindi to approachable
Yes
or
po.
para mga ganun ba. Pero pag
Opo,
nakausap mo
opo.
sira ulo din pala to.
Ganun po. So, before we end our conversation po, throughout the process of your successful life, may mga taong naging rason kung bakit po kayo nandyan ngayon. So, Sir Kevin, who are the people you want to thank for? Where are you now po?
Oh, definitely in my personal life, I would like to thank my parents, my family. Of course, they never faltered in giving me support. They let me experience life without not being tethered too much, and that way it allowed me to be able to discover myself in a very proper manner. I'd also like to thank. Siguro we just fast forward to the wedding industry. First and foremost, all my colleagues that I've worked with. There are too many to mention, but one person that I'd like to thank also is Kuchi Zaldariaga, who has allowed me so many opportunities. including this previous bridal fair, which opened so many doors for me, and just being able to collaborate and work alongside one of the most prominent wedding coordinators here in the country, really opened so many doors for me. WSAPTJ, thank you so much for being a part of perhaps showing some support by having me here. To all the other wedding supplier organizations that I've worked with, PAWP included, and all the people behind their board, I really greatly appreciate all of them because without them recognizing my talents and who I am, I don't think I would be where I am when it comes to hosting all these weddings and social events. There are so many more people that I would like to thank, Millicent, pero siguro for another stream na yan para mapag-isipan ko ng mabuti.
So, that concludes our question and answer session. So, Sir Kevin, nag-enjoy po ba kayo? And nakulitan po ba kayo sa akin?
Siguro pwede ka pang mas maging makulit, Millicent, pero
Opo.
pero masaya naman, nag-enjoy ako. Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you din po. So, now that you have the stage, would you like to promote your business, sir?
Oh yeah, of course. So for anybody out there, couples, debutantes, people planning a special event, even corporate clients that are watching right now, if you have events, I hope you wouldn't mind putting my name into consideration when it comes to hosting your events. Uh, I really look forward to being able to work with all of the people that I work with because it's an opportunity for us to create something new, right? It's not to say na palagi naman may events it's gonna be the same thing. We all events are unique to one another, and it just takes that one particular opportunity to boost everything and to change the whole landscape of wherever industry you're in. So the more opportunities we get to work with each other, the more chances we get to change the game, so to speak. And also, please follow my social media platforms. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Kevin Lapena. It's all the same all throughout.
Thank you, Sir Kevin, for sharing some of your valuable time with us today and providing us with your wonderful stories, tips, and aspiring insights. I hope lahat ng nakikinig at nanonood ngayon ay may napulot na aral dahil siksik at liglig at umaapaw sa learnings ang episode natin today. But we're not finished yet. Let's just take a commercial break for a moment. Hello, everyone. I hope our audience were able to take notes and, most importantly, learn from today's speaker. Thank you so much for being our special guest speaker tonight, Sir Kevin. As a gesture of our gratitude for your participation, you will receive an e-certificate.
Millicent, I have oh wow, thank you very much. That's nice. Masasend ba sa akin yan?
Yes po, sir.
Millicent, ito I have a
Yes
favor
po.
from you.
Yes
When
po.
you're gonna wrap up this interview or this stream that we're having, i-exit mo na yung script mo. I wanna hear you do it ad lib.
Na naka-live po?
Kaya mo yan. Kaya mo yan.
Okay
Kailangan matuto niyan.
Okay po. So this certificate is proudly presented to Mr. Kevin Mara Lapena for imparting valuable knowledge during this Let's Talk About Weddings as a guest speaker on February 25, 2022. Thank you once again, Mr. Kevin, for your time, and I hope you enjoyed our talk this evening.
Thank you very much, WSAP. Thank you very much, Millicent, for having me be a part of this stream tonight. Hope to be part of more. Really enjoyed this conversation.
Sir, pag kakasal na po ako, pero matagal-tagal pa naman po. Pwede ko po kayong kuning host.
Oo naman, message mo lang ako. Tapos just tell me when the date is, itutuldukan ko na siya sa kalendaryo.
Thank you po. So again, we would like to thank the following sponsors for this WSOP Updates event. Med Results, Accounting Portal Philippines, Alabang Estate Realty Directory, Mobile Palenque, Philippine Travel Expo, Philippine Virtual Expo, Philippine Workshops, Online Pasalubong Center, and the Philippine Hotels Directory. Thank you for supporting our events. Before we end today's event, please watch out for another episode of Let's Talk About Weddings with Mr. Jeff Namo, with Mr. Anton Marcial, and with Mr. John O'Neill Smith. And also stay tuned for Cebu Wedding Expo and be part of the most elegant event, the Cebu Fashion Week Grand Finale, happening on February 27, with of course lots of special guests. Also, the Ilocos Online Wedding Expo happening March 4 to 6 with our Ilocos official exhibitors, Richard and Saria Photography and Videography, Sweet Bites, Kurt John A's Photography, and Ava's Cake Events. We would also like to promote the Wedding Suppliers Association of the Philippines Incorporated membership. Be a proud member. If you're still not a member, what are you waiting for? Visit our main Facebook page and direct message us for your inquiries. Thank you for attending tonight's LTAO episode, and especially to our guest speaker, Mr. Kevin Mara Lapena. Once again, I am Millicent Dayan Angeles, now signing off on behalf of WSAP. Thank you for your time and consideration. Stay safe and have a wonderful night, everyone.
We stand